Notice Psalm 33 and verses 6 through 9, where this is brought out clearly. Psalm 33, verses 6 through 9. It says there, by the word of the Lord, the heavens were made. Notice creation. And all the host of them by the breath of his mouth. He gathers the waters of the sea together as a heap. He lays up the deep in storehouses. Let all the earth fear the Lord. Let all the inhabitants of the earth were inhabitants of the world stand in awe of him. So why are we supposed to fear the Lord and stand in awe of the Lord? It's simply because God is the what? The Creator, and we are creatures. Jeremiah chapter 10, verses 6 through 10. Jeremiah chapter 10, verses 6 through 10 adds to this idea. It says there, inasmuch as there is none like you, Jeremiah is describing God, there's none like you, O Lord, you are great, and your name is great in might. Who would not fear you, O King of the nations? For this is your rightful due. For among all the wise men of the nations, and in all their kingdoms, there is none like you. So reverence and awe for God, fearing God, has to do with who He is. He's the great God. He is the creator of the heavens and of the earth. But you know, the fear of the Lord is an interesting phenomenon. To fear God is an interesting phenomenon because it has to do with God being distant and at the same time with God being close. In other words, God is transcendent, but God is also immanent. God is over and above His creation, but God comes in contact with His creation. You know, the great writer Rudolf Otto once said that God is the holy other. In other words, we should not conceive of God as our good old buddy. We can't conceive of God as the man upstairs. God is a God who is great, omnipotent, and He must be respected. He's up there. He's over and above us. He's outside of us. He is transcendent. But the Bible also tells us that God comes into close contact with those who are humble of heart. In other words, He's a God that's way up there. He is to be respected. He is to be held in awe. He is to be honored. But at the same time, those who are humble, God comes down and He has contact with them. That's why we can fear God and at the same time have joy. Notice Isaiah 57 and verse 15, where we find this apparent dichotomy between God's otherness and God's coming to be with us. Isaiah 57 verse 15. For thus says the high and lofty one, who inhabits eternity, whose name is holy. I dwell in the high and holy place. Notice God says, I'm up there. I'm beyond the sun, the moon, and the stars. I inhabit eternity. But then notice what He says. I dwell in the high and holy place, with Him who has a contrite and humble spirit, to revive the spirit of the humble and to revive the heart of the contrite ones. So God is way up there. He's transcendent, but He is also immanent. He is to be respected because He's outside of us. He's the great Creator, but He's the Creator who is our Father and comes in contact with us. And so, when we fear God, we respect Him as the omnipotent God, but at the same time, we love Him as our intimate Father. Now, let's talk a little bit about that intimate closeness that God has to us.